Thank you for visiting Sew Cheeky and CheekyDiapers.com tutorial on how to sew a bum sweater pair of longies using a recycled wool sweater that I felted up. The first step in the directions for that pattern is to measure your baby and figure out what the waist, the rise, and the thigh measurements are. So using those measurements, I'm going to actually draft a custom pattern for her. So first thing you do is you take the waist measurement and you make a horizontal line, splitting that measurement in half. Her measurement is 16 inches, so I'm going to make an 8-inch line. And then I'm going to measure down half of what the rise is and make another line for the crotch. It says in the directions to do that for between 2 and 4 inches, depending on whether you're using if you're making one for an infant or for a toddler. So the shorter for the infant, longer for toddler. So I'm going to do 3 inches. I want it to last a little longer. Just making it parallel to that other line. And then it says to make slightly diagonal lines to form the sides. It doesn't matter how far down you go because you're going to adjust this later anyway. And then you measure from the side line to the crotch, slightly less than half of what your measurement is. So mine is 4 inches. Wow, look at that. It's pretty slightly less, I guess. And then just make a line. Since her thigh circumference is 8 inches. Mine was slightly more over here, so we'll adjust that. Okay. The directions then say to take a small plate and line it up with your measurements to make rounded leg holes. Okay, so there's your finished pattern. The next step is to actually cut it out of your wool. If you can believe it, this used to be a small woman's sweater before felting. So we're only going to be able to get one sweater out of here, it looks like. And I'm just going to cut around the pattern because I want it to be equal on both sides, and I only have a dark marking pen, so alright, so there we go. And I'm also going to cut my arms while I'm here as well. it up from the armpit. I tried to make it kind of horizontal to the other arm. Alrighty, so we've got all of our pieces ready to go. Move on to the next step. Okay, the next step is to make sure that you've got both sides, right sides put together, and then to sew up the sides and the crotch. I'm only going to do it on one side because it's just a straight stitch down. Just make sure your top edges are lined up correctly so that you have a nice finished edge in the end. I have about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, maybe a little bit less. You can use a serger or a sewing machine on this. Okay, and then you just do the
crotch and the other side as well. Okay, the next step after that is to make sure that your legs of your pants have the right circumference at the top for their thighs. Luckily, this is perfect for Ella. It's about 4 inches in width. If you do need to adjust it smaller, is usually the case, you just sew up one side of it, at a diagonal so that it brings in your leg casing. So turn these right side out. Okay, then making sure that these are right side out and that the body of your longies is still wrong side out. You line them up. On the inside. Maybe I'm going to make this work. Really testing my seams. Okay, so the next step is to sew your leg casings on. I've got everything lined up with my crotch and the edges of the whole leg hole. I'm going to do about a 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and just go all the way around. This is very tight, so that's why you see me kind of pulling on it. This is kind of the easiest way to do it. Make sure you've got both edges of the fabric. Just glad it's not a really big seam that I have to make. It's tough. My sweater felted up so small. I think most cases this isn't going to be as tough as it looks. And just keep going and lining up my edges. So first thing I would recommend is making sure you use a bigger sweater than a small female adult sweater. So we'll turn this right side out so you can see what it looks like. So far, and you can adjust the legs by rolling them. Okay, so you just do the other leg, continue on and trim it, and I'll show you the final product in my review section.